The same concept.
The same location.
2 photographers.
2 different results.
The concept.
Our next concept. Excellent.
The envelope, please.
Okay, you can open it.
Okay, good. I like it that way.
Yeah.
Alright, ready?
Okay.
What is this? You can choose.
I get the choice of location again, and it is elements. So that is the theme that we're working inside of. And I feel really lucky today because this is like a theme that I work with constantly as it is, and I get to pick the location. So yesterday we went like an hour outside of the city and stuff. So today let's stay in the city and go to Central Park.
That's good. I live on Central Park, so maybe I'll just go
Perfect.
home and pray. Just kidding. Okay, perfect.
You can give me your shower.
Yeah, you need it.
I'm still dirty.
Okay, so, alright, my first, like the first thing that I know that I was thinking for elements, I think of like Captain Planet. You're thinking
Hard.
But the thing is, what I would do would be fire, but honestly, with the day planning, I can't get permission to do fire in Central Park. Like, if you had, I'm sure if you had a long enough planning, you could let them do fire, maybe. I don't really know. Fire was my first thing. But on my to-dos, do you guys have like kind of concepts stored that you wait for just the right opportunity, the right person?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I recently met this amazing woman. Her name's Ivy, and she's a really high-end florist here in the city. And she's the one that I have in my pocket waiting. Like I'm waiting for when I'll be like, Ivy, help me, because she does multi-million dollar weddings and stuff like that. And she told me when I have an idea or when I'm ready for her, she'll just bring on the flowers, bring on the styling. So I'm gonna see if she can help me, because that elements, I'm thinking like maybe like floral nymph like elements, or like do you know how on the show they were saying that you looked like what's her name, the elf in Galadriel. Okay, like kind of like the tree nymph, like maybe do like a tree nymph, floral nymph. So I'm gonna see what Ivy can do, and so that's why it's really good working with a creative team. Sometimes I'll go to the hairstylist and be like, what ideas do you have? Sometimes I go to the makeup artist and say, what ideas do you have? This time I'm gonna go to the florist and say, what can you do?
Is that her real name? Because that's very applicable.
Yeah.
It is. I was born to be a florist. Ivy Joy.
That's
That's
amazing.
Yeah, so we're gonna see what she can do. I would tell you, my first instinct would be fire, and now probably, now that I'm thinking that, do that after the show, just do something with fire. When and won't be in Central Park, I'll probably go someplace where they don't arrest
Book
me.
it out there.
Yeah.
Go to their outskirts.
So this is what I'm thinking. Flowers, Central Park, pretty, soft. Because yesterday was hard and like kind of angry. I have a shot of her where she's like growling.
She did.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do from growling yesterday to like soft and girly today.
With elements, I work with water all the time, and so I think I'm gonna stay away from that because I always do it, and so I want to try to push myself. But being back on the East Coast, being from here, I always associate New York, and I grew up in Pennsylvania, all of that with winter. And even though it's summer, I want to do something with winter anyways to show that contrast, because I've been saying I love juxtaposition, and so if I can have, the verdant grass and things like that with a snowstorm, then that's what I want to go for. So I think I want to try to get a bunch of bags of flour and pour it all over the ground, just in one spot where the model's standing, so it looks like there's a snowstorm on her. I'm gonna see if I can get some gray hairspray, I think, to sort of make her look gray and wintry and everything like that. And this is one of those instances where, if I said to Lindsay, you do this shoot, then she would have her makeup team making her look awesome, like winter. But instead, I actually have the same model as yesterday, and she has these amazing light red features, which I think is going to be beautiful for the snow.
She's awesome.
So I'm going to tease her hair up, and I'm going to see if I can get some white mascara to put on her eyelashes.
Nice.
And we are in New York, so if you actually want bags of fake snow, you can get them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to do that too.
Okay,
And I'm
just telling you.
stealing Lindsay's idea.
What I did? The fake snow?
Yeah.
Oh, you have it.
Awesome.
You wait. Well, mine will be awesomer.
Uh-oh, it's on.
Love you. I always have a long list of to do shoots, and I also have a long list of images that I want to shoot. I'm sure you guys have the same thing. You've saved hundreds of images. Many photographers do this, and they'll pick pieces from them. You know, maybe I like the hair in this one, or I like the lighting in another. And so for me, one of the things that I've always really loved is kind of beautiful, fantastical floral nymph, like flowers everywhere. And so I actually have this friend I made recently. Her name's Ivy, and she's a florist, very high-end florist here in New York. And Ivy told me, Lindsay, you know, I'm an artist as well. We have different art forms, but it's still art. You let me know when you want to collaborate. And so as soon as I heard elements, I'm thinking, this is perfect. You know, this is right up her alley. I mean, she is fantastic. So I contacted her, and kind of the vision that I was having is I'm thinking big dress, you know, very dreamy and fantasy, in the forest, flowers everywhere, flowers in her hair. And so when I contacted the model agency, I was looking for a girl with very soft features. Whereas for a lot of my other shoots, I look for people that look almost like aliens. They'll have long faces, or they'll have really, really rigid jaw lines, or they'll have extremely big eyes. And it's fun to shoot them because they look weird enough that it intrigues you. But for this, I wanted more traditional beauty. So I picked a model, Veronica, who's just, she's beautiful. Big eyes, beautiful lips, great hair. So I thought she'd work perfect for that. So I had the florist, and I told Ivy that I wanted a headpiece, and then whatever flowers she could possibly bring me to put in the scene. I was thinking, okay, she brings a few flowers, and I could move them around while on a tripod and composite it so it looks like a lot of flowers in the scene. And so then I contacted my wardrobe stylist, and I told her that I wanted a big dress, but if somehow she could bring in elements in some way, shape, or form, that would be a bonus. And what she was able to do is actually find me a print dress that on that dress, it looks almost water in some parts. On other parts, it looks kind of like tree roots. So to her, that screamed elements, and it's great. And that's why I love working with other creatives, because they bring an additional element. Fun. They bring an additional element to it because they have their own inspiration from other things. So I had the dress, I had the flowers, I had the model, and the last part is the hair and makeup. So I sit there, and when I have all of those different elements, I lay them out for my hair and makeup artist and myself to look at and say, okay, well, what makeup goes with this? What hair? And so I said, okay, let's pull a color from the scene or from the dress and put that in the eyeshadow. And otherwise, it's supposed to be kind of natural. It shouldn't be over the top avant-garde because it's soft and flowers in nature, so we'll keep it like that. And the same thing, hair, just soft kind of fantasy, fairy tale, romantic in look. And I already knew the headpiece was going to be on it, so we couldn't really do anything big anyway. So I usually kind of figure out my theme, and then I piece together the hardest parts first and then fill it in, and at the end, usually hair and makeup tops it off once we see everything come together. And so when we went out to the park, my florist had already gotten a spot there because we had, so little time. She was going to find a spot for me. We had kind of talked about an idea. We brought up actually Google Maps, and we're just looking where we thought a good idea where we wouldn't be like in the way of traffic, or since we don't have a permit, wouldn't get kicked out. So we tried to find a place that's a little off to the side. And so when I met her there, I show up and I see just big bouquets of flowers and branches everywhere and a nice headpiece. So what I'm looking at is, okay, where's the light? How can I make this look fuller since it looked kind of sparse? And so what I decided to do is use the tree they had selected, but instead of having her in front of it, which I'm pretty sure they were kind of envisioning, I was gonna have her up in it. So I had this strong V of the branches, which made a really strong composition. And then at that angle, I had them actually raise up the flower pots so they were sticking out of the ground. You couldn't actually see the ground because it was really ugly. It was just kind of leaves and dirt, and so now I got rid of that. No problem with the dirt in that angle. Strong composition, and then it looked like there was no light on that scene, but actually it works out perfectly because it's backlit, and really on her face she's in shadow, which is great. You had the overhang of the tree, which blocks off all overhead light, so the light on her face is totally forward light. It's totally even, with a nice rim light around her hair and around her body. And so when I shot it, I had to overexpose from what my camera said by like 2.5 stops in some frames. The final frames that I picked were overexposed by 2 stops, but overexposed doesn't mean blown out highlights in the face. It just means kind of tricking my meter. My meter is looking, and guess what? That scene actually looked dark, but when you looked at it on my camera, it was glowing and it looked like a fairy tale. It looked like a dream. And so that's something you have to learn too, is your camera isn't always right. Sometimes you just ignore what the meter's saying. You ignore what's supposed to be right, because what's in front of you doesn't have to be what you create. So I overexposed by that, and I was using a Sigma 24-70 lens, and again I went back and was shooting a lot of wide angles, maybe not 24, I was shooting around 35, started off a little wider, maybe went to 50, and was working those angles. So set my camera up, got my composition with the strong V there, got the flowers roughly where I wanted them, then I worked the model a little bit, looking for poses that looked kind of like they'll mimic some of the shape of the tree, but also elegant and relaxed, and I was working her angles and really trying to get her to look relaxed because she's standing in a tree, so she was all tense, her shoulders are raised. She's got this heavy headpiece on, so a lot of it was shoulders raised, and she kept having her head down, or she'd reach it up so it wouldn't be in her eyes, she'd reach her chin up, and then I'm looking up her nose, and so a lot of it was just trying to work her and get her comfortable so that she would look relaxed and in control of the scene, instead of the fact that she really was placed in a tree in an outfit and pose that wasn't comfortable. So I had to work that a bit. So I get the composition, I get the model, and the last part is I had the flowers, but it wasn't as full as I wanted. So I had some of the APs here, and I also had my intern take flowers and move them around the scene, put them behind the model. And I'm talking just in their hands, and I'm shooting on a tripod because what I can do is I can composite it later. Just take those pieces of the flowers, put them in the background, fill out, put a few leading lines of the flowers around so that it looks fuller. And that's something great to do if you don't have a big budget. Even if you have 2 bouquets, it might be a lot of Photoshop, but you could do the same thing to make that scene come to life. So once I felt really confident that I had the wide shot, something that I'm used to in fashion photography is getting the wide shot and the close-up shot. Usually when you're laying out in a magazine, they want variety of angles because, and not always, but if every single shot is at the exact same focal length, it can be boring. It depends. So what I wanted to do is get a nice tight beauty shot. Plus, I mean, her soft features was part of all that fantasy, part of what I was going for. So I took her out of the tree and I stood her so she was backlit. So she had nice light around her face, but when you looked at her face, it wasn't good light. It wasn't good light because there's overhead light, which giving her highlights on her nose and on her cheeks and deep shadows in her eyes. So my solution there was to put a reflector above her head. It's not reflecting, I think it's just blocking off the light. When you do that, then it evens it out. No uneven highlights, no uneven shadows. But then I want a little bit of catch light, so put another reflector underneath. And I just call it like sandwiching with reflectors. One overhead, one underneath. And so then I have the nice tight beauty shot with, I can see her eyes intimately. For those images, I was using the Sigma 85mm 1.4 lens, and I was shooting around 1.8 or 2.0, depending on the shot. And I was focused on her, and then I had everybody create my wall of flowers for me. So I had all hands on deck holding the flowers behind and moving around, and I just kind of working her poses and working her angles. And then some of the shots that I really liked, I would tilt my camera up just a little bit, move my camera down, or move my angle down and the camera up and catch lens flare. So it made it look heavenly and dreamy when I'd catch lens flare from behind her. And so I had my wide shot, I had my close-up, and I had something to make everyone in the team happy, and that's something important too. Need good shots that show flowers for the florist, great hair and makeup shots for the hair and makeup, great images for the model, and great images also for the wardrobe, because if they're contributing their time and not being paid, everybody's got to be paid in images that are good for their portfolio.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, she is awesome. She is I'm gonna pretend she's my personal florist, because
I am your personal
okay,
florist.
Excellent. So I had this other shoot that I was doing previously, and I wanted a lot of flowers, and so I had my intern reach out to people online, and she was just like, yes, let's be creative, let's be artists, let's make magic together. And so when the theme of elements came up, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, Ivy. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ivy Joy. I'm the owner of Ivy Joy Flowers, and it's such an honor to be working with someone amazing like Lindsay Adler. So whenever she approaches me with ideas or concept that she has, I'm in. I don't even think twice. I'm in, and I usually like to push. I usually like to push the balance as well as to how creative we can get. So when she told me that she wants something, the word morph, nature, then this is what we came up with. And my team, they're excellent, they're amazing. It probably took us about 30 minutes to put this together. I have Dana, I have Deb, I have Liz, and I hope you like it, and I hope Lindsay loves it.
Thank you so much. And just, what's your website?
I have a Facebook page, and I have a website that's launching. It's ivyjoy.com, but my Facebook page right now is ivyjoyflowers.com at Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, I'm ready to grab the modeling. It was really nice because these images looked good already in camera. they looked great. The light behind her, by overexposing so much, was glowing and it was wrapping, and I think everything just came together. I know that there is a little bit of work I'll do with some compositing flowers, but it was close already, and those beauty shots, I mean, they just sung to me even just on the camera. So I already know they're gonna be great. Do a little tweaks in Photoshop and it'll be perfect.
So today our theme was elements, and we got to go to Central Park. And I've never shot in Central Park before. I've only walked through several small portions, but I've never really seen the whole thing. So I didn't know what to expect because I didn't know if we would be in a rocky area or in a really wild area or on a path or what. So I was trying to plan where I knew that there would be some sort of greenery. So I did my picture off in a little nook that I could find. So I want to talk a little bit about why I chose this spot, because that was really important. I was trying to find a spot that wasn't like in illegal territory, because we weren't allowed to go beyond the fences and stuff. So I chose this spot because there's an actual little path here, but also because there's a lot of greenery around, and like I talked about earlier, I wanted that contrast of greenery versus the snow. So I chose this spot because it looked wild instead of looking very pruned like all the other spaces did. So I'm putting her here, and if I were to shoot from right down here, which would really be from the same distance and everything, then I'm getting so much of the sky in the background that when I throw the snow in the air, you're not going to see it because it's going to be white on white. So I had to get at an angle where most of the snow would hit a very dark background. So I'm shooting from up here, which is also going to be kind of nice because you're going to see some of this rock wall in it, which means that it's going to look a little bit voyeuristic, like we're sort of watching this princess. So we have her crown made out of snowflakes, which I'm really excited about. I put some flour in her hair just to dull it down a little bit, as if it's been snowing on her. And I kind of have two wardrobe choices going here. So we have the actual dress, which looks really cool in this setting. So I'm gonna take a safety shot and just use that for my first shot. But after that, I'm gonna take the little snowflakes that we made out of paper and hold them at all different angles along her dress. That way I can composite it to look like her dress is all made of snowflakes. And if I do that, then the dress is going to look like a ball gown where it's gonna poof out. And that'll give her more of a princess look, which is what I'm going for. So the theme, emotion of this shoot, I'm going for a fairy tale theme. But the emotion is that she's sort of this lost little girl who's making all of this up in her head. So it's not really snowing anywhere else. She's not actually a princess, but she's make-believing that she is a princess. So I'm gonna go ahead and get her in her pose first, which I have not talked to her about at all. So Carson, if you could grab a strand of hair that's down at your side and pull it in front of your eye. There you go. So I like to obscure faces a lot when I shoot, and the reason for that is that I like to create anonymous characters. So the more a character doesn't have a real identity, where you can't tell that it's a model playing a role, then that means that you're being immersed in the character and in the story. So if I hide her face, then you get that anonymous character and you're more connected to the image. Not always, but in my case that seems to work out. And I laid down a little cloth, and then I could pour the flour on top of that. So by pouring the flour on top of the cloth, we sort of didn't dirty the environment as much as we could have, even though we did a little bit. And I was able to make it look like there was snow just in one specific spot where the model was standing. And I don't know if it does look like snow yet or not, and we'll see what we can do to help it. But definitely having snow in the air like we did, we spent the day tearing up little pieces of paper to throw in the air to look like snowflakes. That worked really well because they were so lightweight that you could throw them up and they would hang in the air and fall gently. And that looked really natural in camera, so I was probably happiest with that, and the fact that I had the most beautiful model, Carson, and she just glowed in the picture. She looked like the most perfect fairy tale, which is what I wanted. So I got a bit of a high angle when I shot it, and that way I had a dark background behind the model instead of looking up into the sky where the snow would just blend into the white sky. So I shot it that way, and aside from that, I just had to composite snowflakes in. So I shot bigger snowflakes that we cut out of paper at different angles, and then I'm waiting to see if it's gonna work with the composite of creating a whole dress out of these snowflakes. So I don't know if it's gonna work yet. We're gonna wait and find out, and if not, I got a safety shot because I love the dress that she was wearing anyways. So I got a shot of the dress moving a little bit, and everything looking really nice and fairy tale-ish. And then my favorite part of the day was watching all of the APs shoot because they were being crazy, and we somebody shot on a bridge, and then somebody else shot with tree roots, and it was really exciting and fun, and everybody was so brilliant. And that's the thing that I love about this whole show, because you just get to watch the most amazing people do amazing things, and so that was really awesome. And so we were doing one shot with the flower and everything, and then I took the flower and then I went like that with the flower, and then it went in my eye, and then I had dough in my eye, and it was really funny. Yeah, that's it. We had an extra bag of flour on set, and I was reserving that so then we could throw it in the air to look like snow. So I was waiting to see if the paper flakes that we made would look good or if the flour would look better. And I kind of had a hunch that the flour wouldn't look as good because it's heavier, so it falls faster, which means that I was getting a little bit of motion blur with my camera settings. And on top of that, it's clumpy to the point where you're not getting an even smattering of flour. So it ended up being that when we threw the flour in the air, I got some chunks that were, bigger and sort of looked like they were getting a little bit of motion blur, but then the majority of the flour just turned into powder, so it kind of looked like a fog effect, which is amazing in its own right, but didn't look like snow. But we had a lot of fun anyways, and we ended up throwing flour at the model for like at least 30 minutes after that too, so it was really fun. Did you catch this?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that didn't look very good. My photo is up in the air right now because I never know with a composite like that how it's gonna work out. And the thing that makes me nervous always about doing a picture like this where I'm making a dress out of something that isn't actually visible in the shot is that I'm taking lots of little parts and putting them all together, layering them together in Photoshop, and I have to make sure that the shadows are exactly correct and that the shape of the snowflakes were exactly right. And so that's the kind of thing that's hard to know if it's going to work until you just get into Photoshop and make it happen. And I'm really hoping that I can, because it wouldn't, I wouldn't feel completely fulfilled with the shoot if I couldn't have that snowflake dress. So that's the kind of thing that I might try to reshoot even if I'm, halfway through the edit and I'm just saying, okay, I can force this along and just make it work, or I can just take a step back and just shoot some more snowflakes and layer those in. So that's what I might end up doing, but hopefully I got all the shots that I need, and if I did, then I think I'm gonna really love this picture because I love nature interacting and different elements coming together and things like that. So, it should be right up my alley and something that I love, and if it comes together, then it will be. Hi everyone, Brooke Shaden here. We can't fit everything into our episodes, so head over to the Pro Download section and you can check out tutorials and extra content that's available for download.